everyone, and welcome back to the Atlantic Front. I am the Jakeman, and it is here, our possibly last storm chances for the southeast. Yes, it is still February 18th, and we still have a lot to go in the month. And March can be snowy too, but it's getting more and more difficult to see patterns and or potential for the North Carolina, South Carolina, Southeast region, Georgia, Virginia, all of these mid-Atlantic states to see any real snow potential. And right now, that is what we have. We have been watching models now for the better part of 72 hours, and we have been seeing some relative uniformity within the models. Yesterday afternoon, we did see large agreement between the GFS, the Euro, and the Canadian. I'm going to show you a graphic that really shows why it's so difficult to get such a positive read on whether or not it's going to snow in the southeast. And here we have the lower 48, the United States of America, and our system has formed. You're seeing some of the eastern Colorado that saw a lot of this system. We're probably not seeing a lot of this coming down, maybe in a Virginia state. There are some areas here that are showing some moderate snowfall, maybe 4 to 5 inches-ish on this. So if you watched my video yesterday, I did talk a lot about whether or not the system itself had enough precipitation in order to really hold up against a lot of the dry air. And usually what happens with such a cold air mass coming down, it also brings down this severe amount of dry air. And of course, the rush of the wind comes in and just dries it down immediately. So you have these upper level, mid levels, and lower levels of the storm itself, and it can almost slice off like cake in the middle, and then or slice off the top or slice off the bottom, and each one of those 3 layers can have different aspects of precipitation. That's why we get the freezing rain, the sleet, the snow, the ice, all of those things come into it, and of course, just rain. As you see through the cycle all the way through about 11:35 as it's going through, it does tend to get drier, and you see it almost dissipate almost all the way out. So a little worrisome on that, and we are seeing some of this within the models as well. But let's take a look and see exactly what I mean by this graphic that I wanted to show you. The blue line here is the massive amount of cold air that is coming down. We're looking at a high temperature in the Charlotte area for about 34 degrees tomorrow, a high temperature. So the cold air is going to be there. And again, this is the representation of the low that has formed off of the Gulf and now is spilling this energy into the lower United States, Texas, into Louisiana, and of course it's going to come through. So the northern part of the storm is where a lot of the moisture is because of the disturbance between the warmer and the colder air. As I've shown you here, there are some tracks. Again, yesterday, the tracks that we were looking at, the first track was certainly the one that was not going to happen. This is the one, this most northern track that was, there was a couple of models that said possibly, but it doesn't really take this massive turn. I'll show you what it really is going to look like. But the second one is probably the one that I'm the most optimistic about when it comes to this, because the third is more of a southern storm that really just stays rain. But the top of the storm, or the most northern part of the storm, is showing that it is going to put down snow. How much snow is that, and where is the snow line? Where is the line that separates the storm from the snow, the mix, and the rain? Let's take a look at what the models say. Let's look right now at the GFS. Here's the GFS, and as of yesterday, not much has changed from the formation since this was around 24 hours out from when I did this yesterday. The storm hadn't formed yet, but now it has. So it is showing that it is a snow event. It is a mixing event, so sleet and freezing rain, and then, of course, rain. So this is right around about 1 a.m. Tomorrow. and then it goes into 1 p.m. tomorrow. So the GFS, ironically, was the one that was showing the least amount of snow. Now, it is the one that is trending towards staying more moisture. It's trending towards saying there is much more moisture than the Euro and the Canadian. The Canadian, which was showing the most snow, has now backed off. The Euro is coming into a more of a moderate coin flip, and the GFS is still saying that there's going to be snow. So the 1 p.m. February 19th report is still showing that there is a line that is looking like this. And you can actually see it. And it runs, again, straight down the pike when it comes into Charlotte, North Carolina. In 72 hours since I've been watching this storm, this has been the line. Where I live, smack dab in the middle of this storm. That's where I reside. So I am legitimately going to see whether or not it's going to be rain on one side of my street and snow on the other. You guys think I'm a little crazy? I've seen it happen right out this door. So there is a tremendous amount of, I guess, coin flips still around whether or not this is going to be a storm that is going to produce anything more than just maybe a couple of flakes and some really, really cold rain. I tend to believe that it's going to be more of a snow sleet event versus freezing rain and ice. There is that potential out there in the southeastern, maybe the Sandhills into southern Raleigh, Sanford, into all of those areas down there. So Charlotte is definitely going to get something. So let's go one more run, and then it becomes a completely snow event in the Charlotte area. And then the outside southeastern all the way to the coast is getting really moderate snow. It's getting a tremendous amount of sleet and freezing rain, some ice thrown in as well. So we're looking at back end or wraparound snow. The Euro was the most positive, or showing the most positive signs for wraparound snow. When we get to the Euro, you'll see that has changed, and we're still not out of this. There's still probably 4 more runs that we're going to end up seeing here, but the GFS is by far the snowiest event in the Southeast, saying that most of North Carolina is going to get a pretty solid amount of snow and mix and freezing rain. So the GFS just recently has gone into, looks like it's holding back on most of the snow of the back end wraparound snow. You're seeing right around there coming out of the mountains into the foothills, and then maybe more just a punch of the rain in the end. So that little green blob. This is where I don't, and this is why I think there's still so much to be looked at here. So if you look at the cold air is doing this, folks. All right. So how in the world can any of these green areas not be snow? So yes, I'm a big believer in these models. I've been looking at them most of my adult life, but that, my friends, is a indicator of, at the very least, light snow. So that's the GFS. Let's take a look at the Euro. The Euro shows no real change. I'm going to jump fast through the Euro because it is the same, because we are in this less than 24 hours range of when this storm comes through. So it is doing the exact same thing that the GFS was saying. So the storm comes in. The majority of what the Euro is now saying is that this lower part, this area in here, all of this is now going to stay, all of this energy is now going to stay more south, so that the low itself is going to continue. Now, this is still that low, that energy, it's wrapping around. So that's where this is coming from. So rather than just a push like a line, it's this circular, almost hurricane motion that's doing this. Now, that is also some level of uncertainty that is unheralded. It is unbelievable how much you are going to see the changes just in the next 6 to 12 hours. So as the Euro keeps moving forward, it does become a pretty moderate mountain snow event. And then Now the Euro is showing much more snow. So the last run, I'd say this most recent run, it is now a snowier. So that's good news for us. So it looks like the snow line it was before, it was running about up here, and then it has now moved down. This is the first time I'm taking a look at this, so it's down to here. So if you're thinking that is 50 miles, then you are right. You are looking at a absolute perfect representation of how much this little area here changes everything when it comes to snow. You probably are thinking that I'm painting this the wrong way, but that right there, and then one of these red dots in this area right here, that is where I live. So the north can see 2 to 3 inches, and then the south can get 0. So, or it can get 2 to 3 inches north, and if it moves 50 miles, I can get 1 to 2 inches. So 50 miles, 50 miles. That is the line right in this area. I'm going to do a video on why Charlotte doesn't get any snow. It is quite fascinating, and I think you guys will enjoy it. So that's the Euro. They're saying that it's going to end up being a snow event still. So it was the last run was saying it was more in the rain, and then now it's coming in. So then you see the back end of the Euro is still snow. So look, they're saying Charlotte's going to pretty much get snow from about 1 p.m., maybe 11 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m. through 4 p.m. is a snow event. The wraparound back end snow is not there anymore. So the Euro was really involved in getting this wraparound snow that was going to come back in like this. But now it doesn't seem like it's not going to make it down into this area. So that's a real shame, because the Euro was kind of the hero of this storm, and now it's not. So there's a big fat 0 down there. So there's nothing here as far as the Euro is concerned with that back end wraparound snow. I still believe that there is going to be a tremendous amount of back end support because of the cold air that runs down like that. That is the Euro. Let's take a look at the Canadian. This is the Canadian. This is the one that has been the most snowy since the beginning. You can see that there's a large amount of energy that is saying right in this zone here that is going to be, look at the moderate snow all the way through the middle of this. And then, of course, the snow rain line is a tremendous amount of sleet. So you're not seeing any real ice involved there. So as we move forward, I want you to watch something, and I'm going to be quiet while I do it. I want you to watch something right over this area here, okay? So a large amount of moisture is going to be running over this entire area. The entire area is going to be running. So from central Indiana into southwest Ohio down to Mexico, this amount of precipitation is moving this way, okay? In other words, it's impossible for it not to show some level of precipitation that is going to show up on the radar and or the models. Watch what happens. Remember what I said about Charlotte not getting any snow and the reasonings why. You're about to see why. The next run here is right there. Okay. If you notice, it almost makes me laugh every time I see this because I see it all the time. So hopefully we can see this. So I live, well, let's go right here. I live right in this pink dot right there. Okay. That's where I live. It is I'm going to circle this area right here. So the Canadian is saying that the likelihood or unlikelihood of whether there be any snow is so 50-50. It is so yes or no, black or white, night or day. It doesn't matter. The model is saying we don't know. The model is saying that yes, there's going to be moisture that's going to fall, but we can't tell you what it's going to be. That is a hilarious representation of why Charlotte is so difficult to predict. We see this from time to time, but it's usually over this area because of the Appalachians. Again, you see the Appalachian Mountains run like this. So what level of precipitation can make it over the mountains? So can it make it over? The models will not tell us why, because right in this zone is the foothills. So once you get into the Piedmont, then you're seeing more of a rain event. And on this last run, they're saying that Charlotte does get some sort of wintry precipitation, more in the snow or light snow version. Now, does the CMC, and I'm just looking at this run, is it going to be any back end snow? And it doesn't. So it says that it is more in line with the Euro, and now the GFS is now the outlier for snow. That is what we are looking at currently. When it's supposed to be becoming more clear what's about to happen, it is still within just under 24 hours. We still don't know what we're going to get between the GFS, the Euro, and the Canadian. So my outlook on all of this is still, I believe that the Charlotte area is probably going to get 1 to 2 inches of real snow on Wednesday, and then maybe an inch on Thursday. So with a total, not a forecast, of 3 inches in the Charlotte area or the southeast, depending on where you live and in the snow line and all this. So this is probably going to be one of those events that is going to be, from what I am looking at, going to be an underwhelming, or it's showing an underwhelming storm. But I still believe there is a lot of precipitation that is going to be flooded up, and the cold air is going to run past where everything is, so that where the snow line is. So the cold air is going to run south of North Carolina into South Carolina into probably middle Georgia. And then once that occurs, you're going to see a much more of a snow event. And I think that the icing is pretty much out because of the amount of cold air that is pushing into the region. I certainly hope that you have enjoyed it. We're still up in the air on this one. We're going to continue to watch the models, and by tomorrow morning, I should have at least some ability to show you where this is coming in and what it looks like outside, since I am primarily ground zero for where this storm is, whether it's going to rain, snow, sleet, freezing rain, all of those put together, or just a really cold rain. We'll have to see. You have been here with me at the Atlantic front. I appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. I love doing these videos. Come back. We'll do it again. We'll see you next time.